Nixon Agasirwe, one of the notorious people who were served in the Kayura regime. By the way, Kayura is the worst Inspector General of Parliament to ever preside over our police. Kayura used to use criminals in the police, okay, to abuse human rights, to settle political scores. One of the people he employed is Nixon Agasirwe. Nixon Agasirwe, by the way, was remanded to Luzira prison for having involved himself in killing the public prosecutor, Joan Kagezi. Under Kayura, we used to see enormous murders, killings, which were perpetrated by this criminal gangster. Under Kayura, we saw Border 2010 Chitata. We saw others. Until maybe the policeman known as Chirumira talked about these things before his death, until these criminals killed him. So in this episode, I've come to talk about Nixon Agasirwe's involvement in the killings of Joan Kagezi, and by the way, to a larger extent, what it means to General Kayura, what it means for our politics, and most importantly, the study materials we can learn from the politics of our nation. But before I do this, I want to let you know that if you're new to this channel, please subscribe. And if you're watching this video from a different platform, please head on to YouTube, type in Sula Mawagali. There's a lot of content of this nature. If geopolitics and economics is what you want, this will be definitely the right channel for you to subscribe to. So Nixon Agasirwe was arrested for involving himself in the murder of Joan Kagezi. During Kayura's time, there was a lot of murderers. For me, I hate Kayura to the bone because he tortured the Muslims, he tortured the opposition, he was called a Kada. He did each and every unconstitutional thing when he was serving in the office of the IGP. To an extent that he wanted the 48-hour rule to be scrapped. Yet when he was captured by the same regime, he cried like a baby. Tears flew even in his chest, up to his chest, saying that he must be released because he has been in custody for more than, I think, 60 days. Such an hypocrite. Under Kayura, there was criminals. I was in town one day when there was walk to work. Kayura would protect criminals with the canes to beat the opposition, saying that those were traders protecting themselves. Kayura, even if you die, your grave will be caned by Ugandans until you come out and ask for apology. So when Nixon Agasirwe was arrested, it was never a surprise. These were criminals. I don't want to discuss the merits and the demerits of this case because I may be charged by sub judice. But under Kayura, these criminals used to do a lot of things. Before I proceed, let me play a tape when Agasirwe was being remanded. Here's the tape.
Oluvannyuma ono asimbiddwa mu maaso g'omulamuzi wa kkooti eno Esther Nyadoyi era n'amusomera omusango gw'okutta eyali omuwaabi wa gavumenti Joan Kagezi.
SSP Agasirwe Nixon Agasirwe and others still at large on the 30th day of March 2015 at Chiwatule Nakawa Division, Kampala District, with malice aforethought unlawfully caused the death of Joan Kagezi. You don't have to plead for want of jurisdiction.
Olw'okuba omusango gwe gwa naggomola, Agasirwe takkiriziddwa kwewozaako. Kyokka ng'ali mu kaguli, Agasirwe agezezzaako okwegayirira kkooti erinde ku munnamateeka we omulamuzi Nyadoyi kyagaanye era bw'atyo n'amusindika ku alimanda e Luzira okutuusa ng'ennaku z'omwezi 8 omwezi ogujja. Baaba oludda oluwaabi bategeezezza nga bwe bakyagenda maaso n'okunoonyereza okwongera okuzuula obujulizi obuluma Agasirwe ono.
That's Nixon Agasirwe. So the arrest of Nixon Agasirwe, by the when they arrested Nixon Agasirwe, few days that came, Kayura also came out and made a press briefing. It was done by Kanare Mugume. He talked about Joan Kagezi because he knew that these were his fellows who worked in the police, okay? And the way intelligence is being gotten, if one of your friends is caught in an act, you may also be a suspect. So to preempt this, Kayura talked about this in an interview with Kanare Mugume, so that he can prepare himself that his name doesn't appear in the Joan Kagezi murder case. Kayura is a wise person. So he was trying to preempt the arrest of Nixon. He said these statements.
So that I thought I should put that on record.
Right. So tell us, how do you then get in touch with Nixon?
And by the way, let me tell you, on the question of Nixon, this is not new. The same, because I got a report from CMI at that time, after the late Joanna passed away, and we were investigating. So I get a report from CMI saying that implicating Nixon. And then, so I of course I forwarded it to the team, to the investigating team, which I told you was representative of all security agencies and the FBI. They investigated that case, and if I remember correctly, even the FBI issued a separate report, basically saying there was no link, as alleged, to the murder. You get it? It's not me. And the reports are there. If people are honest, the reports are there. So that line, that's why we did not pursue it. Instead, we pursued, as I told you, there were a number of, because see, when you are investigating, information keeps coming. So you develop lines, what they call lines of investigation. You get it? And by the way, after of course, the passing of Joanna, we got another, I don't remember what his name was, another principal state attorney to keep on doing the same work. And therefore, whatever was being investigated was being led by the prosecutor at the time. So, what I'm hearing happened. It's resurfacing. I cannot comment on it because I'm not privy to any detail. But what I know, that time, we never shielded Nixon. We subjected it to an investigation. So I suppose they are doing the same in respect of this case. My only problem is this hysteria. This investigating in the media. And then starting to make judgments in the media. Really. And then you start casting aspersions on innocent people. You get it? If there's anybody who was hurt by the death by the killing of Joanna, it was me. I believe I was one of the first ones who reached the scene of crime. If there's anybody who knows, I was having sleepless nights. Just like, of course, in the case of Kawesi, it's the president, because I was reporting to him every day. But you cannot call me a magician. That, I mean, in a security agency, or let's be specific, any police force which can claim that it will always, that it will investigate the case and come to conclude it, you will be telling lies. It all depends on the number of factors. If there is new evidence that has come up and it's properly done, okay, fine, that's great. But it does not mean that those who were before did not do any work. That's what amazes me. And then, of course, Canada, there is also this, what I read when some of the reports that were sent to me, that I don't know, I recruited the Nixon, I don't know, he was my aide, he was my blue-eyed boy. Nonsense. First of all, I did not recruit Nixon. Can I give a bit of background to this?
Yes, but you're the one who took him to Kabale. The training.
I never took him to Kabale. That one, again, but what would be wrong even if I did? First of all, Nixon was among 60, if I remember, in 2005, November, when I took over as IGP. He was among 69 Operation Wembley, as I was told, operatives, who had been selected after the operation had wound up to form a special unit which they called Violent Crimes Crack Unit, VCCU. You must be aware of that. Now, the command of that unit was is now retired Senior Commissioner of Police David Magara. Now, then I think at that time when I took over, it was like transition between moving from Operation Wembley now to because I think the killings had reduced, and the president decided that a special unit should be established in the police to continue focusing on violent crimes. And so that unit was formed of 69. They were basically, many of them had been, I think, volunteers. I don't know, because I was never involved in Operation Wembley, but that was under the tenure of General Katumba Wamala. Now, how I got to notice Nixon was after when I believe Magara was being transferred. He wrote a letter to me. In that letter, he stated that he was informing me, recommending Nixon Agasirwe as one of the best performers in the unit. And I'm told recently, I think at a function, Magara repeated the same. I think Thanksgiving, it was, I don't remember what it was, but somebody told me about it. So, that's when I started, I noticed him. Just the way I noticed Kawesi, IGP Kawesi, soon after I became IGP. In fact, if they said that Kawesi was my aide, yes, because he was the second personal assistant I had. The first one was Haman Omuchisha, who had been personal assistant to General Katumba Wamala. Then subsequently, when we established Kabadie, I sent Kawesi to establish it because of his competence. Then the last one was Abraham Sagar. He was my last personal assistant. Nixon had never been anywhere near my office as an aide. He was in VCCU, then later on, when VCCU became RRU, as we developed transformed the unit, and then eventually Flying Squad, which is still there. And then I think by the time I left, he had been, when he got into problems, he was in under crime intelligence. So he had never been my aide.
Was he at any point reporting directly to you?
No. Well, of course, what he had as supervisors. It's only in certain cases where I would be personally, I would micromanage a case, and then there would be a team. For instance, I'll give you the case of Bebe Kakama. You remember Bebe Kakama? Nixon played a big role actually in recovering, in getting the culprits, but he was part of the team. There are cases just like you get interested in, like this case of Kasidia, this small boy who was sacrificed in massacre by Katoka Jew. And terrorism cases, obviously, and it was not only Nixon, it was also other officers who would be part of, because there was never a time during my tenure where we would have one single unit or department investigating. I already have joint teams, and it would even involve other security agencies, CMI, ISO, ESO. Now, so the question of the way they are trying to bring it's clear, the insinuation, but it's rubbish, because if there is anybody who knows my methods of work, they will tell you I always operated in teams.
Well, General, it's been a pleasure, and always a pleasure speaking to you.
Thank you very much, Canary. Thank you.
This has been NBS Face Off. Till next Sunday.
That is Kali Kayura. So he's preempting. Kayura, you are criminal. And I keep on telling people that, one, when you are given an opportunity to serve in the office, you better serve following the Constitution. Because at the end of the day, power is not permanent. It can be lost. Sometimes even the regime you serve diligently breaking the Constitution, those things can be used against you. Because I keep on telling people that Kayura served this regime to an extent of breaking the Constitution. But when push came to shove, when General Kaguta Museveni wanted to clean himself, he had to push out Kayura out of office. Because Kayura reached a point of breaking the Constitution to an extent of blocking the court from sitting. Remember the Makinde court. So he was stepping on the toes of very many people. He thought that he was going to be the IGP for a very long period of time. And to show that power, you must have with the Constitution. Even the NRM government is going to go. Maybe the NRM government was lenient. You talked to Moses Kairugawa when he came to Chisoro and cases were dropped. Another government can come in and they will get an intelligence, they will take you to court and jail you because you deserve to die in jail. The worst Inspector General of Police. Do you know that Ochola was the IGP? You may barely find a taint on his name. Yet, of course, the police continue to beat people. Police continue to maim people. Kayura acted as a face for these injustices, commanding, calling himself a cadre. So that's why the police was full of criminals. Even the late Chirumira talked about these people, the Agasirwes and everything, until he was killed. Chirumira said these statements.
I am being blocked from attending a court where they are accusing me using criminals, and they think that this country has two governments, the police government and Chitata, plus the HFS and the government of the Republic of Uganda. Now, if at least you can't be honest, be religious, have faith, because at the end of the day, this earth is timely. We shall die and face God. I think I can do better even in politics. I can do better in politics. I was the first police officer to say that criminals work with the police. There was a concocted group within the police headed by the Nixon Agasirwe, which was doing contrary. People were being arrested and they disappear. Refugees who were protected by the refugee code internationally were being repatriated. Serving as a police officer is a sacrifice. People are sleeping in containers. People are sleeping in cubicles. Me, I'm just lucky that I come from a good family where we okay, we are not bothered with that poverty of the police. Me, when I'm serving in the police, when you look at my life, I serve with a lot of diligence and freedom. I don't care. It is me who championed the arrests of police officers who are corrupt. In these countries which are still developing, when you speak the truth, you're a criminal. But when a criminal says, I'm a criminal here, I'm called Isobi, for him he's innocent. Which type of country is that?
That is Afande Chirumira. So, Chirumira used to come out to talk about the IGP, to talk about these fellows, that they were criminals, to an extent that even General Museveni called him to set out, he echoed the same statements. For me, I keep on telling people that trying Kayura in the court-martial, it was the least of the things he deserves. He's supposed to be taken to court, face trial, and die in prison. Because through your arms, Kayura, you killed very many people. You did a lot of injustices. You beat people. You stopped court from sitting. You are one of the worst Inspector General of Police. Okay? But of course, you worked hard to put this dictatorship in place. And as a person who wants the dictatorship to go, we are one of the enablers. In fact, I was talking to someone and I kept on saying that maybe the regime wouldn't have handled Kayura like that, but that is politics. And the moment you put politics ahead of the constitution, that's what you get. Of course, that's my opinion. Do make also by commenting about this. Thank you very much for listening in. If this is your first time on this YouTube channel, I implore you to subscribe, like and comment so that I can be motivated to do more of such videos. Let me also take this opportunity to tell you that I'll be running as a member of parliament for Makinde East constituency 2026. It's time to pick leaders who understand what the great people of Makinde East need to go. For over 20 years, Makinde East has been tailing in matters of legislation because we elect poor leaders who know nothing about parliament, about legislation, about the country. It's the reason as to why each and every electoral cycle they are given one term. So this time around, don't make an error of electing a person other than yours truly, Kayura Imani Mawagali. I'll see you on another one. Peace.
Nange benjagala obulungi.